Hey guys, I know I said part 2 would come out soon, and it's been 6 months. Anyways, I'm here with the rant, with episode 2, or the final part of my rant about Godzilla vs. Kong. Thanks for all the support on the last video. I was kind of surprised to see that so many people enjoyed it. So, here's part 2. It kind of picks up quick. We're picking up right after I talk about anti-gravity shenanigans. So keep that in mind, and we're jumping along. I hope you guys enjoy. Okay, let's put that aside for now. It's the fact that they casually could, leave Earth and go to the moon and do something else and save humanity. Actually, I'm going to stick with it. In fact, how do you build a tunnel like that? It took us years to lay cables that provide internet across the Atlantic. Just trust me, it took us a long time to do that. It was a feat of humanity, and a bunch of countries were involved. Instead, it's one company, the something company, and they bored an entire tunnel from Pensacola, Florida to Hong Kong. And then they lit it up with LED lights and provided anti-gravity technology to just send shipping freights down the thing. Next up, we just have the characters. Millie Bobby Brown was a classic sort of like female protagonist done wrong. And it's kind of sucks, because I do like to see a good female protagonist. I like to see a good protagonist, period. And she was just kind of the classic, like, yeah, I'm gonna go do it. And I'm like, okay, girl, I know your dad runs the other company, but you don't really know how to go figure out corporate stuff. She was just investigating, I guess. She wanted to know about the cover-up with the thing, because they're making Godzilla angry, because they're building a Mecha Godzilla, because they're using Ghidorah's face, skull, brain waves to just, control Godzilla from far away. I guess Ghidorah's skull just amps up their Bluetooth connection, and it also connects your mind to the Bluetooth connection, and then you can just control the giant mecha robot. Which inevitably backfires on them. Untested cybernetic technology is probably not the way to go when you're trying to make something to actually help people. One of the things that disappointed me, I guess the main one, is that I only had 2 fight scenes. And all I got to see was Godzilla and, I'm going to call him Donkey Kong. Okay. I wanted to say Donkey Kong. Godzilla and Kong are just fighting it out over the ocean. And I'm like, Godzilla just has home field advantage here. Like, he almost drowns Kong. And then Kong's lying on the ship. And the scientist lady's like, maybe if we turn off our engines and turn off all the power, Godzilla will just be like, oh, okay, looks like they're dead for sure. And they do. And it works. Why? Why does it work? If I were Godzilla, which he's supposedly intelligent, I would just be like, yeah, no, I'm just gonna make sure that I find Kong's body at the bottom of the ocean. If you want to prove you're the alpha, just take him out there. You won the first battle, and then he just disappears. He's like, yeah, I'm out. I'm good now. Peace. I'm not actually gonna kill you. And I thought that was so dumb. Well, why? Why would you let that happen? They could have had a battle on, Skull Island or something. That would have been cool. I don't know. Inevitably, of course, they would have to fight in the water at some point if Kong was ever going to escape Skull Island. So, it is what it is. But just, why do you have that work? And the other fight was when they go to Hong Kong, and Godzilla's like, oh man, there's this mecha guy. And then he literally bores a hole through the entire Earth, at least through a good chunk of it, I'd say, to get to Kong, and Kong just casually walks out. So the issue with this is that they have this whole thing where they're like, oh man, we gotta go find out what the inside of the inner Earth looks like, We gotta go down there. Maybe it'll have some way for us to defend against Kong, against Godzilla, is what they were thinking. So, they say, hey, let's take Kong, because he's a Titan. He definitely is gonna know what it's like down there, because he totally came from there. Even though he technically did, ancestry-wise, but he himself has never been down there. So they're like, let's take him to the Arctic, to the entrance, to the thing. And he goes down there, and there's the girl who is literally she's a sweet character, but she's plot device numero trace, I guess, because she just goes, hey, Kong, let me sign language you, and you should go in there. And Kong's like, yeah, I guess so. All right, I'm going to do it. And so they follow Kong in their anti-gravity aircraft, by the way, which, like, why? Why do you have that? I guess there's a gravity field in the center of the Earth that makes it really hard to get down there, and so they need this gravity stabilization thing. But it really sounds like the director didn't really know anything about science and was just like, oh, we'll just call it gravity and stuff. And that's why you can't go down there. So we need a gravity machine. And he didn't really realize the full implications of what that meant. So that's happening, right? They're going down there, and they hit this big wall of just white gravity energy, I guess, because gravity has a color and it emits light. You all know that, right? That's basic 101. Okay, there's just this blank white thing, and they go through it, and they come out the other side, and oh my gosh, it's so beautiful. There's an Earth, except instead of having an inverted spheroid, they have it just like a flat thing. There's an up and there's a down. And how did they pick that? Is that north and south? I don't know. So many questions. They left me with too many questions. And like, I guess the Earth only has two ways that it pulls, up and down. You know, not all directions like gravity should work. But we're just gonna ignore that for now. And basically, they get in there. Kong leads them to this like ancient place of like Kongs, I guess. And there's a bunch of dead skulls, I guess. And he's all like, oh man, my family, they're like dead. There's a cool scene where Kong fights these two flying snake guys that are huge as well, you know, they're titans. And he totally just beats them up, and then he eats the brains of one of them. But I thought that was kind of cool, you know, he just immediately asserts dominance when he walks into the inverted underworld Earth. But past that, he's chilling there, he's like, oh yeah, this is cool, I like this. And Godzilla, who happens to be in Hong Kong at that exact moment, just looks down and goes, oh yeah, Kong's definitely in the center of the Earth. Let me just use my frickin' laser beam to get all the way down there. And he does. And that's not an issue. I guess if it's a nuclear-powered laser, it could do what it wants to, right? Get all the way down there. Go for it. Why not? He pinpoints Kong's location and shoots the laser down, and Kong just looks down like, okay, yeah, there he is down there. Let me go fight him. And somehow, gravity keeps pulling him down, and it pulls him up out of Hong Kong, I guess? If you watch the movie, you know what I'm talking about. I guess he just climbed out at some point. At some point, gravity flips on him, and he's like, oh shoot, I should probably start climbing. So that happened, but there wasn't any of that barrier thing that we were talking about. There was no big gravity well that they had to get through. It didn't matter to Kong, but the humans, it wasn't there. They looked all the way up through the tunnel, and there was nothing. So why was there a big white gravity field before? It just did not make much sense. So that leads to the final fight. And the final fight is lackluster. I mean, it was cool. Really visually pleasing, right? And Godzilla wins. I was Team Godzilla from the beginning, just because he's a nuclear lizard. I appreciate that Kong is, you know, like monkey, so he gets points for that in my eyes, but realistically, the lizard's gonna win. And the lizard does win, and he kind of asserts dominance. He like steps on Kong's chest and is like, yo, what's up? You gonna bow to me or not? And Kong just kind of gives, and he's like, yeah, okay, I guess so. So Godzilla walks away, and he's like, all right, cool, my work here is done. I'm not gonna fight you. And that's when they activate the Mechagodzilla, which is a Godzilla-sized robot that is being Bluetooth controlled, as I mentioned earlier, from a guy sitting in Ghidorah's brain. Skull brain? Basically, it's got regenerative DNA stuff on it, is what they explained. I guess that makes sense? It's sci-fi. I can kind of buy it. I'd be okay with it, okay? If... oh yeah, I forgot. There's one more crucial thing. They go into the Earth's center because they're looking for the energy source that feeds all the Titans. And apparently it's just like a rock or something. And they scan it and they send it up to the guys who are working on Mechagodzilla, and they're able to just replicate it in like 5 seconds flat. They're like, oh hey, we got the scan on that rock. Oh yeah, let me just boop, 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 boop. Enter. Click enter. It's loading. Loads all the way to 100%. Oh wait, sweet. Our Mechagodzilla is now powered by the same thing that powers the Titans under the Earth. The rock thing. And that doesn't make sense either. What kind of technology does this company have that they're able to just like do anything that they want? And why are they so concerned about defending people from Titans by making their own Titan? Just like go solve world hunger or something. Or like send man to the moon. Get us off the planet. If Titans are such a problem, and you can just, like, ignore gravity for reasons that you don't explain, that's fine with me. I also like that Adam just decides that technology equals LED lights. Everything in the whole movie that was supposed to be technologically advanced had LED lights on it, or glowed in some sort of a way. Mechagodzilla, and that makes sense, you know, but Mechagodzilla, okay, I can accept it. The whole base where they're doing the shipping thing, covered in LED lights. I think it was like purple and green or something. Yeah, okay, yeah. They're in there, and there's just LED lights everywhere. The whole shot isn't lit up in a singular way. It goes from like purple to red to blue to more blue and red and purple. Just because things are lit up doesn't mean technology. And in fact, in most real life cases, I've experienced the opposite. Most of the stuff that works really well doesn't look great unless it's a luxury item. But I guess they really want their employees to just be, you know, so thrilled to be at work. I guess the last thing that I want to talk about is the continuation of that fight after they figure out the quickest way possible to replicate an energy source. It'd be like, hey, scan the sun really quick. Yeah, okay, sweet. Now I have a mini sun. Look at that. Crazy. Besides that, they have their big fight scene. Godzilla versus Kong. Kong loses. And then Mechagodzilla shows up, and Kong and Godzilla have to work together to kick Mechagodzilla's butt. And they do, and they somehow win, because also the girl, Madison, and her friend Bernie, and her other friend Josh, I guess, all figure out easy, you know, like, hey, press this button, or enter this password, and it'll shut the whole thing down. And they shut Mechagodzilla down. They solve the whole thing by pouring some whiskey onto a computer. That was it. That was the Deus Ex Machina moment where they just, oh yeah, don't computers just not work when we pour stuff on them? And I mean, I guess technically they're right, but that's to assume that the computer that's controlling Mechagodzilla or giving him the signal to like keep fighting is the computer in the main guy's office. Which of course it is. He's a supervillain. But in reality, you would have that stuff backed up on a server somewhere. You would have to have some sort of other technology that is sending a signal and is maintaining a giant algorithm or whatever. Maybe I'm wrong. I could be wrong. Science nerds are going to tell me that. But I don't know. I just thought it was too easy. That was it. That was the plot. That was the big build-up. Let me just pour some whiskey on this. Oh, sweet. It solved all our problems. Amazing. There's also a funny scene where Mark Russell, who's Madison Russell's dad, happens to be in Hong Kong, and he calls her, and I don't know what kind of cell phone coverage they have, but dang, I want it too, because they can just call from anywhere in the world. And he calls her, and he's like, where are you at? And she's like, oh, I'm in Hong Kong. And he's like, oh, really? No way. I'm in Hong Kong too, just conveniently. And then after the city kind of gets borderline destroyed by the whole, 3 giant titans duking it out, she's walking around, and she's just, oh, where's my dad? I don't know. I don't know anything about Hong Kong or what the streets are like or the street names or how to get around. But, oh, hey, look, that's my dad. And she just kind of finds him, Classic movie, good ending. But it was just another thing for me to nitpick at. There's a lot of stuff that it feels like Adam just jumped over and was like, yeah, I know that generally should be the way it is, but I'm just going to overlook that for now because, look, monkey! I think that's about my whole shindig. I'm really still mad about the anti-gravity thing and how they could have used that in any other way, literally. But, gotta have your LEDs and anti-gravity and technology that's inexplainably good, however, is only used by one corporation of evil guys. Well, that about wraps up my thoughts on this video, at least on the movie itself. If you stuck through this whole video with me, thank you. I appreciate it, and I hope to do many more. But I promise they will not take as long as this one took. I just got new editing software and everything's going way faster. That's also why the effects are, let's say, cooler. But with that said and that out of the way, thank you for watching, and I shall leave you with my terrible dancing.